7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, fuck it, I'm going in.
Alright, what's up guys? So, don't mind the mic, I do apologize. My voice recorder is out of battery still, but this video we're going to go through, we're going to change out the spark plugs. So it is an easy process. Some people kind of overcomplicate it or just don't feel comfortable doing it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it on a 2006 CBR600RR. And this is basically how you do it on all CBR600RRs. It is an inline 4. And you know, we're going to check the spark plug gap on the old spark plugs. Regardless of the spark plugs are, you know, still good. They're about, you know, at least 4 or 5 years old, so I'm going to be swapping them out regardless, but we are going to check the spark plug gap and also check to make sure that we have spark. So let's get to it. I'm going to show you guys what you need to take off before we can actually remove the spark plugs. Alright, so first off, what you're going to do is you're going to undo the horn bracket. And that's this screw right there, and that is a 12mm socket. You're going to undo that and take it off. That way the horn can just swing out of the way. You're not actually removing the horn, just undoing the bracket so it swings out of the way. That way, when you undo this bolt, if you take a look at the radiator like that, this is one of the mounting bolts. That's a 10mm bolt right there. You're going to want to undo that one. And then there is also a mounting bolt right on the other side, and that as well is a 10mm nut as well. So you're going to undo both of those, and then when you undo them, I'll show you what to do. There's a little grommet on the other side, so the radiator can only go in one way, or pull out one way. So now I'm going to undo the horn bracket that I showed you guys. And hopefully this light isn't overly bright. I want to make sure you guys can get a good look, but you're just going to want to undo that. That way you can just swing it out of the way and it's not a big deal at all. But that is a must. Don't lose that nut. For the horn mount, what I would do is just kind of screw it back in the hole, that way you don't kick it off to the side. Now, since we got the horn out of the way, it just kind of swings down, so you can just leave it hanging by the wires. It's probably best to find a better spot for it, but you just want to make sure that you don't damage, it doesn't swing around and hit the fins on your radiator. So go ahead and get your 9mm socket, or sorry, 10mm socket, and we're going to undo this bolt right here. Now you don't have to worry, because when you do undo these bolts, the radiator isn't just gonna like plop down to the ground or nothing. Because once we remove the bolts, I will show you what you have to do next. Alright, so we got the bottom mounting bracket for the radiator taken off, which I showed you that. So now once you got the top and the bottom, once you got the top bracket and the bottom bracket undone for the radiator, you should just be, it'll take a little finagling, but just kind of pull it forward a bit, and then if you push it to the left, or if you're looking directly at the nose of the bike, push it to the right, but to the left side of the bike you should push it, and then there is a grommet on the other side, it'll just kind of slide out of it. Very, very simple. And then just, you know, pull it down and just have it rest. Just make sure that none of the fins are getting damaged or nothing like that. That way you can get at the spark plugs. Alright, what's up guys? So just keep in mind you don't have to take your nose fairing off. You only need to take off your side fairings and your mid fairings or lower fairings. That's all you need to do. You already got this off. It is a little bit of a pain in the ass to kind of take the rat off because it is one bolt, and then you got to kind of angle it and then move it to the right, or your right, or the bike's left hand side. But once you get that off, just keep in mind that chances are with a bike, you know, even probably 5+ years old, the toolkit's probably lost or the guy kept it or whatever. So if you don't have the toolkit, make sure that you got a 5/8 plug socket. That is key. A decent goddamn wrench. Don't use too long of an extension because it is going to be a pain in the ass and you're not going to have any clearance to get at the actual plugs themselves. So use about a 3-inch extension. So you have the 3-inch extension, the 5/8, and then a U-joint socket extension. That way, when you have it in there, whatever angle you need, you can ratchet it. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. It's actually really windy. It's cold as fuck now. So I thought it was supposed to be spring. 5/8 plug socket, guys. So with these, you should be able to finagle your way to get in there. Now we're gonna go unplug the coils and pull them out and get the plugs out. So I'll give you guys a closer look at a little bit of light. We'll get at her. Pitter patter, let's get at her, boys. I also want to go ahead and add that a magnet pen is a must, because sometimes it is a bitch to get those plugs out, and you can just go doop and pull the socket and the plug out. Alright, so you can clearly see the 4 plugs. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 right here. Now you can see, I'll move this over right there. You can see the plugs attached to each coil. You're just going to want to unplug them. Just like that. And then you can pull these out. You might have to, you know, do a little wiggling at the top, but don't worry. That's them there. That's one. We'll undo the other one. You can see that's the plug there. There's the coil. We'll pull that one out. And then you're just going to want to do that to each one of the coils and the plugs. So take all 4 of those out, and then we'll get to taking the plugs out of that bitch. Alright, so once you got all 4 of those plugs out, you want to take your 5/8 and your 3-inch extension, and you can just fish those down. I'm actually going to drop that socket in there. And you got your U-joint extension, and because you can see that with the 3-inch extension it just barely sticks up, but with this, I know my arm's blocking the view there, with this you can clearly see. There you go. You can see that with the extension and the U-joint, whatever angle I want it at. And just take it out. Alright, so once you got it loosened all the way off, that is when I take my pen magnet and just fish the socket out. And the oil plug. So there we go there. Or oil plug. Spark plug. So there's the spark plug there. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So if we take a look at the spark plug, like a good look at this spark plug. We'll let you guys zoom in. You can see a little bit of oil. Just a little bit, not much. It's like barely any. But it is there, see? We are actually going to check the spark plug gap to see how that is. It should be 0.04 inches, I believe. I'm gonna go get my gauge. So the gap is good, but it does look like a little bit of a fouled plug there with a little bit of oil, which leads me to believe that could be a head gasket and the valve cover gasket. The valve cover gasket getting a little bit of oil on my spark plug, and given the fact that my coolant kind of looks a little chocolatey, I'll have to do a pressure test. It looks like that would possibly be a head gasket. So we're gonna pull the other plugs and then take a look at them. So I'm gonna pull those real quick. You do the same. Pull the rest of your 3 plugs the exact same way, and take a look at them. So this is a wire spark plug gauge. Now you just want to take the side that says a 0.04 inches and lightly see if it'll fit in between the tip of the spark plug and the round edge. I don't know if you guys can really see that. You just want to see if you can stick it in there. If it does fit, that's too big of a gap. You will have an extremely hot spark, and that is not good. Replace your spark plugs. So that doesn't fit. Don't shove it in. You don't need to do that because then you can damage the tip. Just see if it fits in. Just go. If it just kind of like goes right in, it's no good. If you have to, try and shove it in at all, even a tiny bit, and all my spark plugs are in spec, but on all my spark plugs I have a little bit of oil. 2 of them barely, well actually 1 of them barely any, and 2 of them little globs. So I'm a little unsure. It's actually if you guys can see that right in there, just a little bit. It's odd that it's all 4. I'm not sure if it was my bike for sitting, from sitting so long. It was sitting for a year and a half, maybe the gasket's kind of dried out, or maybe by fluke it's nothing, just from a hard start. I doubt I have a valve, stuck valve. It could be the water pump, the O-rings in there, but I am going to check in my next video. I'm not going to do a spark test in this video. These spark plugs look good, aside from a little bit of oil on all 4, which is odd. Normally you just have like 1 or 2, but I do have chocolate milk looking coolant, so that'll probably be a head gasket. I am going to do a compression test probably in my next video or two. Definitely within the week. I do have my pressure or compression test kit sitting right over there, so I'm going to probably get at that within a couple days and maybe have the video up in a week at the most. So that sucks, but under normal circumstances, changing your spark plugs, you know, you wouldn't find any oil, you know, hopefully you don't get too much of a thick black coating on the top. And just replace your spark plugs. I was going to replace mine with NGK Laser Iridium High Spark. These are IMR9C 9HES. The manual calls for IMR9C 9HE, but it is perfectly fine to use HES. And that's about it. These are just premium spark plugs. Those are the ones I was going to use for my 2006 CBR600RR, baby. See these? I got these at Royal Distributing. I think these were like $16.99 a piece. But anyways, that's it. Really simple to change spark plugs. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass to get at them. That's why definitely U-joint socket extension, 3-inch extension bar, and you'll have no problem getting in at any motherfucking angle. And then swap the new ones in. Pretty gravy. I'm very heartbroken that I see oil on these, but I'll have to do a compression test because, you know, I'm sure some of you guys would find it interesting, but I don't really want to drop my engine and take it apart. But if I do that, and it is my head gasket, I'll probably go as far as, you know, making a video on how to do valve check on the CBR600RR, and we'll go through all that process. So fingers crossed that's not the case. We'll see what the compression test comes back with, and we'll talk more about that in another video. So hopefully you guys learned something, or just, you know, enjoyed going through what it's kind of like changing spark plugs on a CBR. Pretty much like any other inline 4, minus you know, a few annoyances here and there of parts you gotta move. But yeah, that's it. You guys have a good one. Take care. And even if your spark plugs are like 3 or 4 years old, just replace them. That's my opinion. Peace. Check out my other videos, man. It's almost riding season, guys. Fuck yes. She is itching to get out. The Aprilia Bertha.